Hi, I'm Stuart Clayton. Welcome back to Lick Library. This is the second in the series of slap and pop lessons. In this one we're going to develop what we looked at in lesson 1, which was the basic slap and pop technique, and we're going to add some hammer-ons and pull-offs into the mix, and also look at using some trills as well. Now all of these devices are types of slur, essentially just where you strike a note once with your right hand in some way, but you get more than one note because of something you do with your left hand. A good example of this is the hammer-on. So if I just slap a C and then hammer on with my fourth finger onto the D, I've created two notes where I've just hit the string once. Okay, so that's a hammer-on. Now we're going to start off by looking at a simple slap and pop exercise that makes use of hammer-ons. This one's going to be in the key of D. So let's see what happens. Okay, so in that exercise I was really just slapping roots and octaves and adding in the occasional hammer-on. So in the first bar I slapped a D and popped the octave, and then I played another root note followed by a hammer-on from the C to the D, so I add. And that theme continues throughout the entire exercise really, so be sure to download the music from the website so you can study that. Let's look now at another exercise that makes use of the hammer-on. Okay, so that was a slap groove in the bass player's favourite key of E. That was mainly using notes from the minor pentatonic scale, with a few others thrown in. Now what I did there was I started off with a popped figure, a hammer-on from the D to the E, and then another hammer-on figure from the A to the B, another hammer-on finger for the G to the G sharp, and then finally another one from the D to the E, an octave lower. Okay, so we start off with this phrase. Okay, and then the rest of the bar was just built up of a low E, a C sharp and a D. Now that really just continues throughout the entire exercise. The only difference is in the end of the fourth bar where we have a hammer-on from A to B and a slapped D. Okay, so be sure to download the music for that and study that further. We're going to look now at using pull-offs. Now pull-offs are the exact opposite of hammer-ons. So for example, if I play a D and pull that off onto the C, I get two notes where I only pop the string once. Okay, now the way to perform one of these is to have the lower note fretted. So in this case I will fret the C before I do the pull-off. So when I pull the string, take my finger off, I get the sound of the C as well. Now it's important when you're doing this to not just remove your finger from the string, you need to pull the string very slightly as you do it because you want the notes to be of the same volume. If I just remove my finger, the second note will be quieter. In order to get them both at the same volume, you have to just pull slightly at the string as you pull off. You can hear that's much closer in volume. Okay, let's look at an exercise that makes use of the pull-off. Okay, so in that exercise I was slapping mainly on the open A string. The first pull-off that I did was from the A to the G on the D string. and then at the end of the first bar I did a D to a C sharp followed by an A to a G. Okay, now you notice that I popped the first pull off and hammered on and did the second one with my thumb. You can pop both if it feels more natural to do so. The second bar was the same thing, but the second group of pull-offs was from the A to the G and the E to the D on the A string. The third bar was identical to the first. And in the fourth bar, I played a series of descending pull-off figures using the open A as a kind of a drone. So I played this. So the first one was from G to F sharp, the second from F sharp to E, and the third was from E to D. So that lick again. Okay, so now let's move on and look at a second exercise that uses the pull-off. This one's going to be in the key of C minor, and this is going to be a little bit slower. Okay, so in that exercise I set up a basic figure at the beginning of each bar. That was followed by a beats rest and then a series of pull-offs. The first two went from the E flat to the D and the C to the B flat. Once again I popped the first one and thumbed the second one. You can pop either one because they're on the top two strings, whatever feels more natural to you. In the second bar I went from the C to the B flat and then slapped from the G to the F. Okay, both pull-offs there. Third bar was once again the same as the first. Now in the final bar I popped an F, slid up to the G and then back to the E flat, and then I did a pull-off figure. So I went from the G to the F and then slapped the D below it. Then pulled off from the F to the E flat, and then slapped the C. So we get. Okay, so once again, take that line and transpose it into all 12 keys and make the most of it. Download the music from the website. We'll move on now and look at the final decoration that we're going to look at in this lesson, and this is the trill. Now, a trill is basically a collection of hammer-ons and pull-offs performed in quick succession. And I'll play you an example. Okay, now the trill is quite a useful decoration in the slap and pop technique, and we're going to look at a couple of exercises now that make use of it. This one's going to be in the key of E again, and it should sound like this. Okay, so in that exercise I set up a basic slap and pop figure using a hammer-on, and then I followed that with a trill. In the first bar I used a G to a G sharp, and in the second bar I used an F sharp to a G sharp, an octave higher. In the third bar I took the same line as I started the first bar with, but I replaced the open E with an open A string, so you get this. So we've moved the whole thing into a different key. And then I performed a trill from the B to the C sharp. And then in the fourth bar, a trill from the G to the A. Okay, we're going to look now at a final bass line that makes use of the trill. This one's going to be a much sparser groove. Okay, there's going to be a lot more space involved here, and it's really going to allow the trill to shine through as a decoration. Okay, so in this lesson we looked at 3 different decorations that we can add to our slap and pop playing. We looked at the hammer-on, the pull-off, and finally the trill. I think you'll find that adding all of these into your slap and pop grooves will really liven things up and make them more interesting. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson.